Welcome to Tenacity with Sonia C, the podcast where we dive into stories behind success, uncovering lessons learned and the insights gained by leaders and innovators in the business world. I'm your host, Sonia, and let's get started. Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of Tenacity with Sonia C. I'm your host, Sonia, and today, for the first time, I'm flying solo to kick off Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I've never done a solo episode before. It's quite daunting to put yourself out there, but if there's ever a time to step out of my comfort zone, it's now for a cause so close to my heart. Back in 2017, life was an upswing. My career was striving. I was building a new startup in the tech world. And personally, I was rebuilding myself after a divorce. Everything seemed perfect until one day, a sharp pain under my arm led to a discovery that would change everything for me. So while I'm having this pain and this numbness underneath my arm, I sort of started feeling around for it. And as I'm doing that, I found a lump. And in finding the lump, I got scared because it was hurting me. It was a big lump, in my opinion, and I just didn't know what to make of it. So I quickly went to see my doctor. And when I told her that I had found a lump, she didn't even touch me. She automatically said, "Let's schedule you for a ultrasound." At the time, I was 38, too young for routine mammograms, so ultrasound was the right thing to do. When I went in for my ultrasound a couple days later, they said that they found a mass there and I needed to do a mammogram. So on the same day, I went in to do the mammogram. As I'm finishing, they said they need to do additional tests for me to sit down and wait for the doctor. And then they did say they confirmed that there was a mass there, and the next step is to do a biopsy. So after ultrasounds, many mammograms, blood work, tests and a biopsy, I got the news that I did in fact have breast cancer. The next steps involved seeing my new oncologist to figure out the next steps, having a whole bunch of more tests done. I had a full body scan done. I had MRIs done, lots of tests before surgery could be scheduled. Then when we came to the discussion about surgery, me and my oncologist both agreed that I was going to have a double mastectomy. I did not have a history of breast cancer in my family, and I did not want to take the risk of having a lumpectomy or only one mastectomy and running the risk of breast cancer coming back. This was something that was a brand new experience for me. I did not want to take any risks. My doctor agreed on the double mastectomy, but she did not agree on doing it all in one surgery. She said, let's focus on getting rid of the breast that has the cancer, and then we can come back and have another surgery where we can tackle the second mastectomy and start the reconstruction process. At this point, I had no idea of what stage cancer I was dealing with, so I was preparing for the worst. In my case, the only way to find out the stage of breast cancer that I had was going to be after surgery, after they tested the lump, and really then they would be able to tell me what stage and how far along this cancer was. So not knowing any of that, I started getting my affairs in order because I didn't know if I was stage 0, stage 1, or stage 4, or if they were going to give me a life sentence. So I started putting my will in place. I started just taking care of my affairs and preparing for death if that was going to be the end result, because I didn't want to be a burden on my family or anyone I left behind at this point. I got diagnosed on September 2017, and in November 2017, I was going in for my first surgery. Everything was moving so fast in between getting diagnosed and having all of these tests and going in for surgery. I didn't really have time to process it all. I felt a little bit at ease because I signed up for a clinical trial that would allow my doctors, after everything was removed, to turn off the lights in the surgery room, and any cancer cells that I may have left over in my body would glow and allow my doctors to remove them. And this was a brand new trial that was happening at the time. I volunteered for it, and it just gave me some reassurance that if anything was left over, they'd be able to catch it. And of course, I had a lot of lymph nodes removed from that area as well. After my surgery, everything got sent off for testing, and I was diagnosed with hormone positive stage 1 breast cancer. And after all the tests of my tissues, I had a 6% chance of reoccurrence. And of course, 6% chance is extremely low, and that was good news for me. During this time, I decided not to take time off work. I wanted to keep going with this startup that I was now relaunching. It was doing really well, and I didn't want to let my team down. And I wanted to keep going. I didn't want breast cancer to stop me from achieving the things I had worked really hard for up until this point. When I really think about it now, it was probably the best thing I did and chose for myself. Continuing to work every day gave me something to look forward to, gave me meaning. I would get up every day, get ready, go to work. Yes, dealing with breast cancer felt like a full-time job, but I was able to really be able to manage it with proper scheduling and having a calendar that really had everything in my life in it. That really helped me get through it. But working gave me a purpose. It gave me something to look forward to. And it also distracted me from thinking about breast cancer 24/7. So at this point, I have a purpose. Yes, I'm going through this journey. I'm going to have to manage everything, but it was the best thing that I chose to do for myself. I realized that not every woman has that option. I was stage 1. My journey was focused on a lot of surgery and hormone therapy. So I was able to make that decision, and I'm really happy that I did. Waking up from surgery without a breast was a surreal feeling. I mean, I remember looking down and being like, wow, it's gone. It's never going to come back. There's no nipple there. What am I going to do now? I felt weird. I still had one, but one was missing. So now I felt like really abnormal. So the next couple of weeks, I really had to wrap my mind around like, my breast is gone and the second one is going to be gone. And what's going to happen now? I'm not really quite sure. It was a very confusing time. The the following months were filled with challenges, both physical and emotional, as I began this complex process of reconstruction. The breast reconstruction process was not what I expected it. I was not educated on what to expect. I had no idea what was coming down the line. If I knew then what I know now, I probably would not have gone down the path of reconstruction. So I do want to talk about that a little bit today. Um, Breast reconstruction is not straightforward. I'm now four surgeries in that were grueling to my body. They were very stressful. Every time I go in for a surgery, it's a reminder of breast cancer. It's a scare of, is it coming back? And it's really traumatizing on my body. I've been trying to give my body time to heal before I go in for a fifth. But the process for me was, I chose to do a double mastectomy. My doctor wanted to focus on getting rid of the breast that had cancer. So we did that, and then go in for a second surgery to do the second mastectomy and start the process of reconstruction. When I went in for my second surgery to start the reconstruction and do the double mastectomy, I had no idea what I was in for. I ended up being in the hospital for 4 days. I had skin removed from my back to reconstruct the breast that was originally removed. I had the second mastectomy, and then I had tissue expanders put in to stretch the skin so that there was room to put an implant in there later. So when I woke up from surgery, I was not aware of all of these things that were going to happen in this surgery. So I remember laying down and asking, like, why is there a pain on my back? I had surgery on my chest. And it wasn't until someone came to visit me at the hospital and they went and looked and they're like, your back is black and there's a massive scar there. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I remember they took a picture of it and showed it to me. And I'm like, what the heck is that? I had no idea this was going to happen. So I really got educated on reconstruction after I had that second surgery because I had no clue. Plus, I had all these drains put in, which added additional scars and having them drained. And the tissue expanders, I had them in for about 7 months. And every 2 weeks, I would have to go to the hospital and they would inject a needle into my breast to start stretching the skin. And that was a really painful process. When I finally got the tissue expanders ready and my body was ready for third surgery, I remember going in, being super excited. Okay, let's get rid of these implants, these tissue expanders, put in the implants, and then that's it. Unfortunately, that was not it. So when I woke up from surgery, this just things were not right. Apparently, one of the tissue expanders had sort of shifted, so it made everything funky. It some one breast was out, one was to the side. It was just not right. Scars were popping out that should have been tucked in. It was just a bit of a mess. In addition to that, the implants that I had put in got recalled and because they were causing breast cancer in women. So at this point, I'm going to have to go in for another surgery to fix all of these things. So I decided to, since I was going in, to get rid of these implants and put implants in that were going to be safer, that were not going to give me breast cancer. Between my third and my fourth, I realized that the implants they had given me were also too big for my body. And at this point, I'm 550 cc's, which is a lot. So I told my surgeon, since I'm going to have to go in for the surgery, let's go smaller because these are just too big. I don't like them. They're bothering me. So I'm going in for my fourth surgery and I'm like, there's a list of things that I want to get done. And I'm like, okay, this is finally going to be it. Is this going to put me at ease? Great. So I come out of my fourth surgery and I remember looking down and being like, these look really big. Did they really make them smaller? But then I'm like, no, 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 no. They're swollen. I've had 4 surgeries in 2 years. My body's just funky. Let's let things settle down. And I remember I went to see my surgeon while I still had swollenness and stitches and things. And they gave me my card for my implants. And I remember looking at it and I was like, I went from 550 cc's to 590. So now they're even bigger than what I had expected or wanted. I was supposed to go to 400s, like to go much, much smaller. And now I'm much bigger. And so I wasn't happy about that at all. I felt like my surgeon didn't listen to my needs, didn't pay attention to what I was asking for. And now I'm stuck with these sacks of potatoes that are massive and bother me every day. And it is not what I was expecting. It's not what I was hoping for. I'm grateful that I'm alive and that I made it through. But man, I really wish that I did not have to get stuck with these massive things in my chest. Knowing what I know now, I would have advocated for myself at the time more. I I was, yeah, I would go in, my doctor wouldn't look at me in the eyes and would just sort of put this plan together and I would say yes to everything. If I mean, you don't know what you don't know, but if I had put more time into learning a little bit more about the reconstructive process, asking more questions, I would have been able to go into it a little bit more prepared, and I didn't. But I do think it's important for women who are looking at reconstruction, maybe a similar process to mine, to really ask questions to make sure that you understand the process and that you and your surgeon are on the same page about what's next, what they're going to do, what you don't want them to do. I think because breast implants are such a common procedure for women nowadays, many people think that it's similar when done for breast cancer, but it's really not. Having a double mastectomy is not getting a boob job. I remember as a child watching my body grow these things that I didn't have, which represented womanhood. I remember begging my mom to buy me a trainer bra. And I remember her being like, you don't need one. There's nothing there. But I just love the idea of having these things grow in my body that I begged her for it. I just really, really wanted it. Um, so to have them ripped out of my body and replaced with what feels like sacks of potatoes was devastating to me. They're not sexy. They're not implants that I chose to put in. They're these things trying to mimic what I had there, but they're not real. I'm still on hormone therapy, which is tamoxifen, and that's a whole other thing. Tamoxifen does all kinds of things to your body, puts you in early menopause. It did take a little while to adjust to being on tamoxifen, but once you're on it, you sort of get used to it. Your body adapts. You get a lot of like the early menopause side effects, unfortunately, and I think it's different for every woman, but your body does slowly adjust to being on tamoxifen. Now, getting off of tamoxifen is going to be a whole other journey, but I'm not there yet. So I'm waiting to see how that goes. So I'm now in my 5 year remission. I'm completely breast cancer free, and that's amazing. I'm really happy about that. However, I do want to talk about something that I don't think is talked about enough in the breast cancer community. When charities are out there, they're talking about raising money, awareness, everything for the journey during breast cancer, but there isn't a lot of conversations around what happens to women post breast cancer. And for me, that was where I struggled the most. During my journey, I was really busy trying to survive, trying to make it through, trying to figure out a plan, trying to work and schedule surgeries and figure out what my body was going through. So, and preparing for possible death. So when I was told I was breast cancer free and I could now go live my life, I didn't feel like I could because I felt really lost. I felt like, okay, now what? Like, go live my life like I was living it before, but I just went through this really traumatic experience. How can I just go back to normal? I can't. I don't want to at the same time. So I felt really lost for a little while. I didn't really quite know what to do with myself. I wasn't finding pleasure in the simple little things that I usually did. I was even struggling with my work, with launching the startup, with just being passionate about the regular things that I did. And so I knew I had to do something about it because if I didn't, I was going to get into a really depressing place because I was already feeling it. So I realized that the next step in my journey was to give back. And I felt like that was going to bring me a lot of joy. And so I wanted to get involved with a charity that focused on the post breast cancer journey. So life after breast cancer. And so I did. I joined a charity that focused on helping women with life after breast cancer. And I went into it wanting to help women in the same community that I had been in. And I did, but what I got out of it was a lot more than that. I got connected with a community of breast cancer survivors, women still going through breast cancer, where we built friendships and we got to have conversations that I never got to have with anybody in my life. And having conversations with people who have been in a similar situation as you is very different than someone who hasn't. And I just found a lot of peace in doing that. I didn't feel guilty about having those conversations. I didn't feel guilty about wanting to vent about specific things that I had gone through because everyone else had gone through them as well. And sometimes we would just have venting sessions and that felt really good. So getting involved with this charity helped me give back to that community, but it also brought me a lot of peace. It brought me a lot of joy. And I met some amazing women. Despite all the challenges, this journey has pushed me to advocate for more transparency and support within the breast cancer community, especially for education around reconstruction. It's not just about surviving, it's about living after cancer, understanding the implications of each decision, and supporting one another through the realities of reconstruction and recovery, but also learning to advocate for ourselves when we feel like something isn't right. As I close today's episode, I reflect on the ongoing journey. Yes, I'm cancer free, but the scars remain both physical and emotional. Life after cancer is an odyssey of its own. It's about finding peace and purpose in the aftermath, about transforming pain into advocacy and empathy. And I do have to say that I was going through all this stuff in my life prior to breast cancer. And then I went through this journey and it was a blessing in disguise. People always ask me, like, if you could go back and change, what would you do to avoid getting breast cancer and all those things? And I'm like, I don't know if I would be the person that I am today if I had not gone through this breast cancer journey. Breast cancer, breast cancer really forced me to get outside my comfort zone, deal with my emotions. It forced me into therapy, which is something I'm still in today. And it's something that I really enjoy. But it also forced me to really deal with my feelings, with my environment, and build new habits and love new things. And at the end of it, where I am today is not only do I have an immense amount of happiness, I'm at peace. And there's something that happens to us when we reach a level of peace. And I do not want anybody to disturb that peace that I have. But I found that peace through my journey with breast cancer. If you're listening and you're on this path, you're having a mammogram or an ultrasound or a biopsy and you feel confused, you don't feel like you have all the information you need from your doctor, please feel free to reach out to me. I've had so many women message me, ask me questions about what's next, what to expect in reconstruction, or they just had a mammogram and now they're going to biopsy and their doctor hasn't explained anything to them. Please, we're all in this together. We're all in this journey. Ask me questions. I am happy to respond and answer you in any way I can. Thank you for joining me today. This has been a glimpse of my breast cancer journey, but it's just the beginning of this month's focus since October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Stay tuned for more stories from incredible survivors throughout this month as we continue to explore and understand the breast cancer journey through different perspectives. I want to leave you with this. Be kind to yourself. You're doing the best you can. This is Sonia signing off, but as always, remember to stay tenacious.